recognition, I think, is for the police department. Chief, are you handling that?
I'm handling what this gentleman has.
All right.
Yeah.
Come right up here to the microphone, identify yourself, and go on.
It says 5-minute time limit. Is that, I don't know, I can do it in 5 minutes.
All right.
So, my name is Kevin McCullough. I'm a field supervisor for CLEAT, but I'm also the chair of the Oklahoma Law Enforcement Accreditation Program. And we're here tonight to recognize the City of Guthrie, Police Chief Don Swager, Accreditation Manager Logan Becker, and members of the Guthrie Police Department. Chief Swager elected to participate in the verification program and the smaller agency accreditation program. Within the verification program, the agency policies and procedures are evaluated to ensure they comply with all statutory requirements for a municipal police department. Within the accreditation program, the agency's policies, procedures, and their full operation is evaluated to ensure they not only meet all statutory requirements for a police department, but they also observe standards and best practices for agencies their size. Of the 599 Oklahoma law enforcement agencies, only 34 have been recognized as a verified agency.
Wow.
And only 6 have reached the status of small agency accreditation. The Guthrie Police Department are members of both of those elite groups. This program was established by CLEAT, by OMAG, by the City Management Association of Oklahoma, and by Oklahoma Municipal League. So it's because of this agency's dedication and commitment to professionalism that I'm honored to present Chief Swager and Officer Becker with this leadership award, the Guthrie Police Department with their award of verification and award of accreditation.
Thank y'all very much.
Good job, Chief.
Chief, anything you want to speak in the microphone so we'll get it on tape?
Yeah.
As you know, we went out 2 years ago to get a grant to help us do this, to pursue this accreditation. And all it means, like it's a small deal, it's not, it's a big deal. It means that we have our policies and procedures in place that you all adopt that help us serve our community at the absolute best level that we can. We follow all best practices, we follow all the statutes, and we do what is expected of a municipal police department. And it sounds like something that should be done already, but as he said, there's 6 agencies that have done this out of
500.
599.
600.
and we've had the small agency accreditation for 10 years, and we're number 6. So it's a big deal for you, it's a big deal for our citizens, and I hope my guys are proud knowing what they did to support the city.
Good job, Chief.
Thank you all very
Great job,
much.
Chief. Mr. McCullough, thank you for being here. Appreciate you bringing that certification. Thank you. Next item on our agenda for the public comments is by the fire chief.
Yeah.
Chief Lawson?
So Mayor and Council, I was going to talk about a significant call that happened a couple of weeks ago. One of our personnel unfortunately had to leave that we were going to recognize tonight. He's the only paramedic on shift, so he had to go on the run. So on November 15th, around 9 o'clock in the morning, crews were dispatched to a structure fire on South 2nd Street with occupants trapped in the bedroom. The station was completely empty due to multiple calls going on at once, and firefighter Nettles and Captain Reeves were able to pull off of another call they were on and respond to this house fire. Whenever they arrived on scene, they were able to make entry through the front door And at that time, Captain Reeves was able to knock down some of the fire. That was a heavy fire load in the kitchen and living room. And at that time, firefighter Nettles made it to the main bedroom where the occupants were trapped inside their bedroom, and they were able to escort those. That day, they get inundated with calls, and then they're also trying to dispatch and communicate with us as we're trying to do the same to them. So they get flooded pretty significantly. Also, there was an officer that responded on scene, Officer Botello, that helped with CPR on some of the animals. And then we had our animal control come over and transport some of the dogs to the nearby vet. So I just wanted to say thank you to all those ones that were on scene that day, especially for their efforts, and congratulate them. So if Firefighter Nettles would come up here, I had a special shield, custom shield made for him, and then I'll
Nice.
give the other one to Captain Reeves later tonight.
Very good.
Thank y'all.
Not the whole thing, obviously.
Right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Always great to recognize the men and women that are
Good job.
protecting us in uniform, police uniform, fire, EMS, and providing a priceless service for citizens of Guthrie. Third item on our agenda is consent agenda, item A, which is the approval of the Public Works Authority meeting of November 21st. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second? I'll make the second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Submit your votes.
I'll raise your hand.
See the votes.
I was given.
Unanimous approval from all those present to approve the consent agenda, item A. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on approving the 2024 calendar year schedule of regular meetings. Eddie?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the annual approval of the calendar of meetings. This proposal is the first and third Tuesday, just as you were used to for both GPWA and the City Council. The only thing that's up for discussion, or we would like to discuss this evening, is the start time of the meetings. There has been comments by councilors that folks would like to see possibly a 6 p.m. or a 6:30 p.m. start. Staff is open to any recommendations, or if we'd like to keep it the same, we're open to that as well. So at this time, we see no issue with any of the 3 proposals.
Is there any particular benefit of moving it from 7 o'clock?
There is a benefit to the staff, the folks who have been here for the entire day.
Okay.
It could allow them to get out of here a little sooner. It would also allow us to maybe increase the efficiency of workshops. So workshops could be either at the end of the meeting or at a 5:30 time rather than a 6 o'clock time or 6:30 time. So other than timeliness, there is no direct benefit.
Okay, all right, I can see that from the staff's perspective. Do we have any kind of sense of how that impacts the viewing audience online? If we move it to 6 or 6:30? I know that's a difficult thing to assess, but
No.
That's a great question. I'll say,
I asked Chris that.
I'll lean over to Guthrie News page here in just a second. I will say, though, regardless of what time we've had either a workshop or a retreat, we do still get the same attendance. So folks will,
Okay.
whether it's on YouTube or Channel 20, you know, if we're streaming that event. So,
Okay.
Chris,
Good-
do you
good
have any?
point.
I don't think there'd be a time frame. I know the Guthrie Public Schools Board of Education used to have the 7 o'clock, and they went back to 6:30 2 or 3 years ago, and it's been fine with them.
So they
In fact,
didn't,
they're keeping the same time this coming year with their calendar, or with their calendars.
okay, so they didn't lose any viewership in moving from 7 to 6:30?
No, no.
Okay.
There's always a replay feature.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. Any other questions of the city manager?
Well, so are you looking for an action on this?
Yes, we'll need an action on this item.
So Kim put out an email, right? I mean, what was the consensus on the email that came back, time-wise?
Either one.
Well, let's settle that.
I personally like 6 o'clock, that's just me, so.
I
If
would
we
like
did,
something
for example,
earlier
if we,
than 7.
I like 6:30 myself.
Yeah.
Six will be a little bit difficult for me to make at times, but 6:30 will never be a problem.
For,
But it still gets us in, it gets us in here and out of here fast.
So nobody likes 7.
job.
Just saying.
That we've been doing for years.
Right.
Well,
But I could make 6
I
work.
guess
if
I
had to.
will entertain a motion.
well, I'm gonna make a motion that we move them to 6. Unless nobody can handle 6 o'clock,
It'd be easier for me at 6:30, because I have to drive back to the Capitol.
okay? What about you, Adam?
Either one.
I'll go for 6:30.
So we'll go motion at 6:30 then.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion?
One last thing before we do that, if we were so we could do the workshop at 6
Yep,
and roll right in, and it could be a late, it
If
could go
and when
past
we have a
6:30, the
workshop.
workshop could, right?
that's correct. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Yep.
And when we first discussed it, we said if there's a workshop, we could.
We can roll right into it, or we can do it on
or
the
we
back
could
end.
do it early.
Yep.
Yeah, either do it before or after.
Yeah,
Nice.
there you go.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the calendar's schedule with a 6:30 start. Submit your votes.
I'll vote for it.
See the votes. Unanimous approval from those
Nice.
councilmen present to approve the calendar, the schedule of regular meetings, and to approve the change from 7 o'clock to a 6:30 PM start.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
That concludes our Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting. And I'll call to order our city council meeting of December 5th. Second item on the agenda, consent agenda item A, which is the approval of the city council minutes of November 21st. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
I'll vote for it.
See the votes. Unanimous approval from those present then to approve the consent agenda, item A. Item number 3, discussion and possible action to approve the 2024 calendar schedule of regular meetings. I assume this
Same
is
item.
the same
Your
item.
Honor, yes.
So I'll entertain that same motion.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Submit your votes.
I'll vote for it.
See the votes. Unanimous approval then to approve the 2024 calendar schedule, again with the change from the 7 o'clock start to 6:30 start. Item number 4, discussion and possible action to approve the acceptance of $163,058.86 in a grant form from the Oklahoma District Attorney Council. Chief?
Yes, Mayor, this is the third time that we've been awarded this grant. It's good for 2 years. It pays for our special investigator that does sexual assault, domestic violence, any kind of violence against a person. That's what she's dedicated to. This $163,000 pays for, I think it's 95% of her salary and benefits for 2 calendar years.
Awesome.
Didn't we get her a vehicle at one point too?
We did,
Yeah.
we did. They do not provide any equipment, so over
So
the
we do
years,
that,
we
yeah.
have put her in a vehicle, and we equipped her and outfitted her.
It's a great program.
But it's beneficial for the city, I think, I believe.
A motion to approve?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See the votes.
Good job on that, by the way.
Thanks for your
Started
diligence.
that years back.
Those present to approve the acceptance of the grant for the, from the Oklahoma District Attorney's Council for $163,058.86, two-year grant. Great job, Chief.
Thank you,
Item number 5, discussion and possible action to adopt ordinance number 3403, a rezoning request from R1 to single, which is a single-family dwelling, to R2 general residential on property at 1812 West Noble. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council.
2 minutes.
As was indicated, this is on West Noble 1812. It's an existing home in that it's currently zoned R1. The applicant is looking to rezone it to R2 because he would like to turn it into a duplex. It's currently a single-family residence. You had read my staff report on this. The Planning Commission had actually recommended denial 2-1. Staff had recommended approval, mainly because it was similar to a lot of the previous rezones that we've done within our original townsite area. There were some individuals at the Planning Commission that had questions. I wouldn't say they were adamantly against it. They definitely had some questions which we tried to answer. A couple of them are here tonight. The others aren't here, which, again, a lot of their questions may have been answered. So the council has in front of them where they can go ahead and take the Planning Commission recommendation and deny the rezone, or you could look at adopting the ordinance that's in front of you that would rezone it from R1 to R2. The other thing I just wanted to add is, at that meeting, it was a good meeting. We are getting more public participation in a lot of our meetings, and there's a lot of good civil discourse. And I actually spent some time with the applicants or with the neighbors after the meeting with some really good discussion in that. So as a planner, it made me happy that we can have civil conversations in that. So I just wanted to say that, you know, the meetings have gone well.
So there's no duplexes up in that entire area at this point, right? Or is there?
Block and a half away.
Yeah, I was gonna say adjacent, no, in that area, yes. I will tell you
I mean,
that-
right on Noble I'm talking about.
Not in that portion, no. They're kind of back or, you know.
Step back.
Yeah, just real quick, one of the things within our original platted area, we have a lot of 2 to 4 unit development that still exists from the early days. Most of that has been made illegal by the zoning, and so it's all single family. So there's obviously a trend going to where some of these are looking to try to add those units in a way of, again, the 2 to 4 unit route without having large multifamily developments in that. But in our original platted area, they're scattered everywhere. And that's honestly one of the reasons I tell people
Duplexes
at work. Yeah, well, and even triplexes and fourplexes that we still have existing. The only place you don't have them is in the newer subdivisions.
Okay, all right, we have.
But yeah, if you have any other
We
questions.
have 3 citizens that have requested to make comments.
Yeah, and I think one of them is the owner or the applicant.
Okay.
Dan, do we have duplexes on Noble?
I mean, that's a main thoroughfare.
That's like the
On that
residential.
part, yeah, right on that part, no. On the east side, we do. We have some that are there, I
Really?
think. There might even be a fourplex as you go. Most of the duplexes are off of Cleveland and some on Oklahoma and that area. But right in that area, no, they're primarily single family at this point. Yeah,
None on the.
I don't know of any east. There's actually some on the east.
yeah.
On Noble,
Some are even 4 units. And you don't really notice them because they look like single families, which is one of the reasons that we had that whole overlay district put in, so we could keep that character and not worry so much about the units, but keep the character of the neighborhoods intact.
And what was, I didn't watch the planning meeting, I apologize on that. What was planning's position on turning that down?
They had some concerns. Honestly, I didn't really get a definitive idea of what their main concerns were, other than they just didn't feel comfortable, I guess. Again, the public had some questions, legitimate questions we tried to answer. Because one of the other things I'll just add while we're talking is, even if they were to take this house away and demo it, the most you could have is 3 units. Because per the current code, that's the most units that could be built on there. So even if they take away the existing house, they can't do, 10, 12, 14 unit type development there.
That was the main, I talked to 2 of them. That was their main concern, was just that if we rezone it and then this particular built structure gets torn down, then in the future, somebody could come in and then build. The worry is, oh, they're gonna put 12 there, but you're saying the most they could do if that scenario arose was 3.
3. And it is within the overlay district, so again, it would be your more historical looking type, either duplex or triplex type development. It would not have a more modern flavor.
So they'd have to come back to council with plans on this?
No, they would have to go through
Planning.
the building department and us, but we have those criteria in place that it can't be just, again, kind of your.
But the maximum would be 3
Yeah, no
on
matter what.
on that property.
Yeah,
Okay.
yep.
All right.
Next question, where are you gonna park?
In the back. There's parking off the alley. That's what alleys are for.
Okay.
Yeah. Truthfully, there is an ability in the multifamily when you get to 3 units or more to have parking in the front, which we have throughout town in different places.
If it goes to 3, Dan, doesn't that make it swing into a different type of?
If it's within 1 unit, you're correct. Anytime you have 3 or more units in one building, it goes into the commercial code. So the chances of that one being turned into a triplex are probably slim to none, because it would take a huge financial commitment to make that a triplex.
They would have to tear it down and do a new.
Yeah, they could do that, yeah. But again, even if you have 3 units in there, you're in the commercial code.
If that were to happen, that would be outside of the jurisdiction of HPC, correct?
That's correct, because it's within our Guthrie proper overlay district, which has standards, but it's administered through my office and our zoning code, where HPC is just within the historic district.
And you don't have formal opposition to this? That's what
I
you're
don't
saying.
know.
I mean, there's no formal
Oh,
opposition?
no, it wasn't strong. There was, again, people there, and there's a couple of them that would like to speak that had some concerns. Some of the concerns was parking in the back and vehicles and running into like the fence in the back and that. And I had indicated that a lot of that we take care of outside the zoning aspect. If there's issues with if there's things like that, we can take care of it otherwise. They also had questions on whether it would be improved, and I said yes. Once we start to get an intensified use, even in this case, they're going to have to upgrade if there's existing parking, upgrade that, as well as add what's necessary, and even improve the alley if they're going to use that for access to their parking.
Okay.
Dan,
Yes.
in your proposed zoning code amendments that the council will be seeing hopefully in 2024,
Yes.
what will this area, this property see? Will there be an increase in density, or will it remain?
Yes, there would be, because it would allow up to 2 units
Okay.
without needing to go through a rezone.
Okay, so that's important to note
Yeah.
as well in the future when we look at the,
2 units in one structure, or 2 structures as 2 units?
Either or. Maximum 2 units. It could also include an accessory dwelling unit.
And that's what you're proposing?
Yeah, in the updated code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
and it's important to note, anything over 2 units is required to be fire sprinkled per the International Code Council. So that's why you don't typically see today tris
Yeah.
or quadplexes at this point.
Okay, all right. We've got 3 citizens again that would like to make comments on this. George? Want to identify yourself and your
George
address?
Griffin, live up on West Noble, 1,400 blocks, a little over, right at 3.5 blocks from the property in question. And this kind of snuck up on me, or I would have come in and had some civil discourse with Dan earlier, but I missed that opportunity. I'm pretty well, I'm a lifetime defender of West Guthrie. Had vested interest in there. My folks bought our house in 1943. I live there now. And I just like to keep an eye on what's going on over there. Okay, multifamily dwelling up to 3 units. Yeah, I've driven by and looked at the backyard. Didn't look like a parking lot to me. and you have 3 families in there, likely to be 2 cars per family, then they have visitors over. Now, it looks to me like you're trying to cram too many households into one city lot, which is, you know, one single-family dwelling lot. My main concern is that it would lead to others like it. Next thing you know, they want to tear down houses and build other structures. I know all that's been covered here, but those are my concerns, and I just don't think it'd be a good change for my neighborhood.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Quick question. You mentioned 3. We're only talking about 2, aren't we?
Well, it's a possibility for 3.
They can add, well,
If
but,
they were to tear it down and build it.
so we can't, why does it have to be a possibility for 3? Because of the new code you're bringing forth?
No,
that we-
because of the current code, because this is a rezone, so you're looking at a rezone, so it's kind of the all or nothing, in that you can't condition rezoning.
So it's not any kind of special use coming
Right,
on this
right. 'Cause
whatsoever?
with a special use permit, you have that ability, but a rezone is all or nothing.
So they can have 2 units plus an accessory unit?
If they wanted to.
So what's the accessory unit? What's an accessory unit considered?
Like, size-wise? or-
What is it?
Is it
What
another,
do you
is
call
it another living
Is it
dwelling?
another living
Yeah,
place?
It's like, it's typically called like an accessory dwelling unit, it's just a smaller unit.
So it's like an apartment?
Could be a mother-in-law
Yeah,
suite,
mother-in-law
Okay.
detached
Yeah.
typically.
They generally are anywhere between 600 to 800 square feet.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, what do you mean by reconditioning the alley?
Yeah, I don't get that one
Redoing the
either.
alley? What?
No, just the portion that would be affected if the alley is not in sufficient condition right now through our normal permitting processes. We do require upgrades or at least get it to a point to, work in that, because we have a lot of alleys that, just like with sidewalks, streets, whatever and that. So it's just part of the permit process when they're looking at that
Has that
intensified.
been-
It won't be the whole alley, but
don't
it'll
like
be
it
at least in the portion behind.
So has that been determined already?
No, that would be through our building permitting
I don't know
process
what
when they
it is.
submit the site plan
I
and
know
that,
where
but
it's
that's
at.
standard stuff we look
Sam
at.
Cliff's dad's house.
I would prefer to know that before I said okay.
It's not a problem. I'm still.
The issue,
You
council,
know, I live a block from that, and I don't know.
I know.
That property, parking has always been a problem, major problem. Cars backing out onto Noble and what have you. And the backyard does look, presently, as insufficient. But I would rather the person come with some kind of detailed description of what they plan to do
Well,
about that.
and again, that goes back to, it's, a rezone. There is not that requirement because we have the codes in place to look at that. So again, if you don't feel that this is an appropriate rezone for this property and area, then we just, obviously say no. Because again, we can't have any type of condition. They don't have to provide a site plan or specific detail. All that comes later.
Thank you.
So
Is there-
we could end up approving a rezone, but either the applicant or the size of the lot or whatever wouldn't meet the criteria for instance, for parking access. And then regardless of whether we've approved the rezone or not, it's not gonna fly.
That is true, because it's like any property, there's requirements that have to be met, and if you can't meet those requirements, then you either have to reduce something in order to get there. So you're right, when that's even with a triplex, there may not be enough room on the lot itself to accommodate parking and everything else.
But technically, they could do like happened in Houston, right behind one of our offices, where they just went 4 stories up and put 3 and 4 of them together. And on these little tiny 12, 14, 1600 square foot lots.
But again, the difference is you're still maximum of 3 units, so.
I understand, but that would not be cohesive to the whole area is what I'm
Well,
saying.
currently, you're allowed 35 feet of building height in the entire city, so you could go 3 stories if you wanted to, or 2.5 or
But
so.
not more than 3 units.
But do we want to,
No, right.
do we want to
Right.
do something like that on one of our main thoroughfares? Because it is a main entry point. That's the key. You know, I'm not opposed to density and building dense, but on the main thoroughfares, are we wanting to do that? That's the
Well, I
question.
mean, if you look at the way
Is the
division,
applicant here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There he is.
if you look at division, it's kind of an industrial approach. We don't have the historic look until you get into downtown. It's kind of an industrial
But
approach.
Noble's
But
different.
Noble has always been that historical avenue with all those historical homes on it.
Yeah.
And I think we got to be really, really careful with Noble.
But
You know,
there's,
division I wouldn't have so much trouble with, or another street besides Noble.
right, a couple things I want to add. Obviously, right now, there's an existing home, so that stays. Or, I mean, that's not going to change at all how it looks. But that was the key aspect of why we developed the Guthrie proper overlay district, to make sure that any infill development will keep the character of what made the original town site what it is, in terms of the architecture, design, and that's whether it's a duplex, a triplex, a single family, all of that applies. So from that point, it's not gonna change no matter what.
So if hypothetically somebody wanted to tear it down and build something else, they would be required to have an aesthetic that is
Yes.
appeasing to the area?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it would have to have that look, just like it would a single family would in that.
Okay, all
Well, that's
right.
good.
Unless you put a tiny home in the backyard or something like you were, I mean.
There would still be some criteria there, but if the home in the back is, if you want to say shaded with the primary structure, it doesn't have the strict
Visibility.
details of the one that you see from the street.
Dan, what's the frontage requirement for this property?
50 feet.
50 feet of frontage?
Or no, it's more than that. It's because the minimum lot size for a duplex is 8,000 square feet. This one's 10,500. And our code works to where you have 8,000 square feet for the first 2 units, and then 2,000 square feet for each additional unit. And that's how we figure out how many units you can have on a particular property. So again, with it being 10,500 square feet, you could theoretically have 3.
And that's the maximum density?
Yes,
So they can't,
maximum.
there's no covered living, your livable area space of
Right.
that 10,000 is what? Do we know?
Oh, the lot coverage? 35% in the R2.
Is the maximum?
Yeah, maximum lot coverage. Yeah, it's 25%.
So
in
3,500
R1.
square feet, basically,
Yeah, because R1
of
is.
total coverage.
Yeah,
total
total
li-
lot coverage. So again, that's
3,500.
your building footprint. It doesn't include parking, but your building footprint of your structure
Or
is limited to
buildings.
35
total-
feet.
total-
The what?
Or buildings.
Yes, exactly. Accessory structures or accessory units.
But
Yeah.
that's just the footprint. That doesn't, you can
Correct.
still go.
That's the horizontal, not
Yeah.
the vertical.
But the height is still limited at 35
Yeah,
feet.
35 no
feet.
matter what.
So you're still
Okay.
limited at a
We have
3-story.
another citizen like to speak, Mr. Ellis? Randy Ellis?
Yes, indeed. I don't have a problem with change, but I do have a problem with parking on this particular house. You know, we've already talked about this, but I live behind that house, and we utilize the alley, and some of y'all just think, well, it's just an alley. But if you make it a triplex and you get 10 cars in there, and it's possible, you got a duplex, mom and dad and 2 kids, and that's 8 cars. Then if Christmas comes along once a year, then it could have more cars. They're only gonna be able to park in the back because the driveway can hold 2 cars, and you can't park in the yard. I think we have a thing that says you can't park in the front yard.
Yeah.
Anybody can change that, but I personally like the way it is. So anyway, so when you talk about the alley and you got that much traffic, potential traffic going up and down that alley, all of a sudden it could become more than just an alley. It could be 10, or just say it's 6 cars up and down every day, 2 times a day. And then that's gonna go into different than just an alley. That's my thought. And I like whichever one's talked about, you know, pulling out on the Noble. Well, that in itself is kind of frightening.
Yeah, you
Because
can't
it scares me going out forward. So I just kind of close one eye and pray. So, you know, that's something we gotta look at. It's just I don't know, it's just kind of a car and a vehicle kind of situation. So that's my main concern.
I wish we have pictures of the alley. What kind of condition is this alley in?
It's between, 1 and a 10, 10 being a great alley. It's probably a 6, maybe a 5.
I would say 5.
I
Okay.
haven't been in there.
Well,
It's,
I'm a positive guy.
You've looked at it? I didn't go look. I should have.
I did.
Before this. I wish
It's,
I did.
it's not good.
Yeah. And
So
we live,
Are you using the alley to pull into a garage or something at the back of your property?
not right
or-
now, but I have in the past. I have a carport back there.
That's what I mean, a parking
Yeah.
area on your property that
Yeah.
you go the alley?
And I put up gates so that I can get in and out. The lady behind, next door to me, which is directly behind the house, she's had trouble with people in the past backing out and hitting her gas meter or, whatever.
Tight alley.
Brian, I texted you a picture of that.
Oh,
back
did you?
house.
I appreciate it, because I should have went and looked.
And the backyard is huge, and I mean, it would be a good parking space, but you still got the alley. That's why I'm not really concerned about the parking if you would assume that they would put cement down or something other than mud. That would be not as well as one would hope.
Okay?
Okay?
Any other comments?
I don't think so. There probably is more, but, if you need any questions, you know my phone number. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right. Ben?
Yep,
Your turn.
all right.
Identify yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm Ben Jansen. Appreciate you letting me speak here. Randy, George, appreciate you guys' concerns here. So I guess partly what I want to say is the house basically is set up as a duplex now. It's a one bedroom sort of unit in the back that's only accessed through the garage, and then a 3-2 that's kind of the main house. So we're not looking to like add a bunch of square footage or change the house footprint in any way. It's basically more just zoning it to kind of what the house looks like now, pretty much. As far as the concerns about cars and that sort of thing, I definitely understand that, but it's the same amount of bedrooms and bathrooms, right? It's going to be a one bedroom, one bath that's already there in the back, and then a 3-2 in the kind of the main area, which isn't going to change. So the amount of people that are living in the house will be the same, whether it's a single family or a duplex. Right now, if we want to almost like turn it back into a single family, it's going to be more of a heavy renovation, because the way that it's set up, right, going through the garage to get to one of the bedrooms and a bathroom is just odd. It's kind of set up as a duplex already. So as far as the alleyway, we're definitely open to improving that in any way that needs to be improved. As far as the amount of cars, I know that, backing onto West Noble is kind of an issue. It's a kind of a nightmare, but we're thinking about maybe doing a little turnaround in the front to make it more accessible, make it easier for people to pull in and out of there. I think that's basically it. It's really not, we're not trying to add 3 units. It's not going to be a triplex. It's, I love the character of the house. It was built in 1920. Want to, preserve all that. It's basically just zoning it to what the existing plan is. So if there's any questions, I'd love to.
Question,
So,
Council?
Yes, I have one. Go ahead. Isn't there a single drive to serve both those properties that goes into that off the curb?
You mean the next door, the next house?
And
Yeah,
that one entrance?
there is one entrance, yeah.
And do they have a driveway themselves?
Right now, it's kind of set up, not really. It's sort of a lawn that's been driven on, as
Is
it's
that house
currently.
occupied?
It is, yes.
And when you talk about a turnaround, that means you're gonna pave the front grass with,
Well, just a portion of it, yeah. That would be the idea.
well, you're a pretty good portion for the length of a car.
Yeah, well, I mean, the driveway as it sits is a fairly wide driveway, so it wouldn't need to be a full width of the car to create a
I guess I'm
turnaround there.
confused on how that would work.
What do you plan on doing with the backyard?
We would just add probably 1 to maybe 2 parking spots in the back for the back unit that's there.
So,
Okay.
So if I could point something out real quick though, so this is a rezone, not a special use. So a rezone is not appropriate really to take into account parking.
I was just asking.
It's,
Yeah,
those
that's a fair question. Yeah.
those really aren't relevant to the question before. the
and that was my point I was going to make.
But I'll ask what I want to ask.
Go ahead, Adam.
Already asked.
Okay. Well, my point on it was, I get what you're saying, but if we approve this, you can do anything you want to do. It doesn't, never has to come back here.
Yeah, that's,
And 3 unit, that could be torn down and 3 units could be put right up.
yeah, I think to Dan, what I heard Dan say, it did seem like, I mean, I think that's a fair point. What Dan said, I think it seems like there would be, it wouldn't be like we would just be able to put up a 3 unit, right? There would be lot coverage. I mean, just.
You could.
I mean, that's fair, but it's.
You could put another one. Where I'm going with this is you said there's going to be the exact same amount of cars that there is now, which may not necessarily be true because you could cover 3,500 square feet of ground coverage and go up. And there could be 8 or 10 cars. There could.
Yeah.
It's an investment deal, I'm assuming, right? You're not going to live there, right?
No, yes, it is an investment.
So.
Well, yes, yeah, that's fair.
When you start building, you know,
Well,
there's a.
I do think there's a logistical element to it where, I think that's a fair point, but they're just, it's not in an area where, we're not looking to build a triplex or.
I understand, but my point is that when, and that's why I wish I knew, I wish I would have seen the planning deal, because my point is, if we approve this, it can be 3 whole families. And it could be 3-bedroom, 2 baths in there, and it can.
Yeah.
And it can be. We don't have any control over that whatsoever.
Eddie?
Mayor and council, if I could ask, I think if timing is not an issue for the applicant, what I would recommend we do at this point is uphold the planning commission's decision. We'll visit with the applicant and bring this back to you in the form of a PUD, where we can stipulate every condition of the property
That
to
would be
ensure
perfect.
that your concerns and the concerns of the community are met. The PUD becomes the covenant that runs with the land. And so that law dictates that land from here on out, becomes a part of the title. So I would recommend if that's where we're headed, and if time is not an issue for you, we can push this to a January or February council meeting after planning commission meeting. That would be staff's recommendation at this point.
And the PUD would actually have plan, like Tracy mentioned, I wish we saw plans. I think he mentioned that.
It requires a development plan.
It requires.
So,
a
but in this
development plan.
particular scenario, we can't request a plan whatsoever.
That's because the zoning changes
Right.
in nature, you're looking at compatibility with your comprehensive plan. And so you can't take into account the things that we like to look at as far as parking or infrastructure needs even, because it's strictly a use and a zoning
We were jumping to the next step, I think, in
Yes,
most
sir.
of our questions, which is what our attorney was trying to bring us back to, and you. But in my mind, the concern, just like with Councilman Guthrie, is that if you approve it, your idea of what you want to put there could change. You could sell it tomorrow, and it could change, and we've already
exactly.
made the blank statement, it's rezoned.
Right.
And that's the concern, as expressed by citizens as well as the council.
Do you already own the property?
Yes.
But if we do what you suggested, though, Eddie, there could be those stipulations on the
Yes, sir.
property
Well,
itself.
there would
Yep.
be.
Yep, we could outline those between now and the next planning commission meeting, satisfy the planning commission, and then bring that back to the council. As long as the applicant's okay with.
That's what I was gonna ask. Does that, something like that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Dan, did you have a last comment? Okay.
And if you were gonna increase the whole deal, then increase it with the whole PUD thing, so that it's all part of the plan.
Right.
So do we need a motion to table?
Yes, we do.
Motion to table?
Second.
Well, is it table, or did we just?
We're gonna just go with the plannings to
You-
deny
Whatever
it.
you said.
Yeah.
Maybe I used the wrong term.
We'll have to re-advertise and all that anyway, because it's going through a separate process and that, so denial is not going to cause any issue.
It's a motion to deny.
There we go. Motion to deny.
Is there a second?
Second. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your vote.
All votes are in.
See the votes. Councilman Case? You
Yes.
undecided?
You're just undecided these days.
Which one did you?
Yes.
Yes?
Oh,
So, the unanimous decision by all those council then to deny the request at this time. Okay, item number 6, discussion possible action to waive the bidding and advertising procedure to acquire new and/or used vehicles from the city, for the city of Guthrie, Guthrie and Edmond Regional Airport, giving the city manager purchasing authority to $59,000 for this purchase. Okay?
Yes, Mayor and Council, if you'll recall, last council meeting, you approved the purchase of a pickup truck for the airport. Unfortunately, between the council meeting and the next day, the dealership sold that truck. So
Well, that's happening.
it's happening. So we thought we would get by without having to ask for this, but now we're back to a position similar to where we were with Public Works. So what I'm asking for in this case is a temporary extension for the purchase of one vehicle for the airport up to the amount that is allocated in the budget. So
So moved.
And Edmund's paying half of this anyway, right?
that's correct, yes, sir.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
See votes. Unanimous approval then to allow the city manager temporary authority to purchase up to $59,000, additional vehicle for the Guthrie Edmond Regional Airport.
Doesn't have to be a truck though, right?
The intent is to purchase a truck just for airport operations.
But a
So-
four-door truck.
Four-door.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
Yes,
Crew cab.
a
truck.
primary
Crew
issue.
cab,
Yeah.
If I may, the board discussed, the airport board discussed, or the reason for the 4 doors because they bring officials out to tour the airport in, so they needed that room.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It's more for that than it is for maintenance.
That's correct. So
But they can use it for maintenance.
If they need
also
they
if
can use
need
it
to.
for maintenance if need be. And when I say maintenance, I apologize. The Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission, Department of Aeronautics and Aerospace, when they came out to do field inspections or if they're doing runway inspections, we need to be able to accommodate when they're on site. Currently, we have a single cab pickup, and the crew cab would allow us to traverse.
Then the
more.
single cab stays.
Single
And
cab
It's
stays.
primarily used for the maintenance issues.
Yep, that will
Okay,
be used
good
for
deal.
lawn care, et cetera.
Well, you got that?
Okay, all right. Item number 7, capital improvement, sales tax task force update. Eddie, are you handling it? Chris
Yes.
handling it?
Mayor and council, Chris Evans has been nominated the spokesperson for the CIP task force, and I think he's got some great things to share with you.
All right,
Spokesman.
5 minutes.
5 minutes, all right. Chris Evans, proud resident of Ward 2. Mayor and city council members, thank you for your time this evening. Last month, you requested city staff to form a capital improvement project task force committee made up of citizens from your wards to determine the future of the CIP sales tax. I'm here this evening as the representative of the task force. First, I would like to commend city staff, including city manager Eddie Faulkner, for their leadership, time, knowledge, information, and patience. The committee met for several hours last month. We were given an overview of the city's financials, including revenue, expenditures, sales tax breakdowns, CIP projects, and some of the critical needs our city is facing now and moving forward. The committee learned that some of our critical needs involve our water and sewer system and public safety. We also learned that quality of life and amenities are important to our city, including ball fields and swimming activities. The city needs $61 million in sewer and water infrastructure, $45 million in roads and bridges, and $20 million in ADA accessibility throughout our city, including downtown. Those three items combined are $126 million, which does not address a second fire station, quality of life projects, and other critical needs such as water towers and spillways, lake spillways. The task force looked at a possible funding mechanisms, including the current CIP sales tax. We agreed with staff that this would be the best step moving forward. While the task force wishes there was a magical $200 million fix by next week, it simply cannot happen. Therefore, we must take steps moving forward for our city. After giving all the information and in-depth discussions, the committee found these items as the most critical in order. 1, water line and valve replacements. 2, a second fire station. 3, sewer line replacement. 4, Owen Fields. 5, ADA accessibility. And 6, the Highland Park pool. The committee mutually agreed a 10-year extension of the current CIP sales tax, set to expire in 7 years, is the lone choice moving forward to fund these critical needs. While these critical needs will go beyond local capacity, we have to start moving forward now, not only for citizens' needs, but to also protect the buying power from inflation. The task force recommends an April 2nd, 2024 citywide election to allow qualified voters to make the ultimate decision. This will allow city staff the proper amount of time to gather important information so that all citizens can be properly informed. Thank you for your time and service. I'll be glad to answer any questions on behalf of the task force.
So at the present time, is the task force planning on meeting anymore, or this is your final recommendations?
I believe Eddie has some future dates for us after a discussion with you, with the council.
Okay, all right.
A critical decision, Mayor, at this point is to support the CIP task force recommendation on an election date. If we were looking to go earlier than April, we would have to make a decision by next week. And so while staff's prepared to do that, the task force has recommended not to do that because that would be the same ballot as the county election. So that is the critical piece of their update tonight. The task force will meet at least once more in December, and then several times, should the council support this recommendation, between January and April.
What's on the April 2nd ballot?
At this time, there's potential for Board of Education election, and that's it.
So that would be that and this.
That's correct.
Because I was thinking turnout, you know, anytime there's something more, then you can get a bigger turnout.
Sure.
What, and the Board of Election, Board of Education election is not guaranteed if more than 2 people file, which one person has only filed so far.
Right.
So could
So
be
it may
a
just be
standalone
this.
election, a standalone election.
Could be.
And
Well, and there's a potential for a Board of Education election for Meridian Tech as well. So that may come on the same ballot. It would be the same ballot.
So they put out a survey. What came back on the survey? Is that what you just read? What came back on the
This
survey?
was the survey among the committee members.
Okay,
That
but what
is
about the
separate
survey
citizens.
from
We
that
don't know
was
that yet,
sent to
no.
everybody?
That didn't come from the task force, did it?
So the items that are on that survey came as a result of the task force, 1, their priorities, 2, the projects, and 3, the term extensions. So the timeline for the survey, the 7 days, that was a result of the task force. The projects that were on there that he read to you, that's a result of the task force. That survey is live until Thursday evening, 11:59 p.m.
This week, right.
And to date, this afternoon, we had over 200 responses. So we've had a good reach. I've been out to several of the civic organizations. I know the mayor's also been out. The chamber has promoted the survey as well in an email blast. So we've promoted, we've put it out, it's been in the utility bills. We've asked for as much participation as we can get. We will have that information by the end of the week.
But so far, is it similar to what Chris is saying?
Yes,
I would think
say
so,
that.
too.
I would say that.
But now our agenda item is not calling for us to make a vote on this. So when you're saying you're
This is just an
wanting some
update.
feedback from us as to our endorsement of the April 2nd for the vote on the ballot, that's just a verbal thing?
It's just a verbal thing. You don't need to declare a resolution for the election, and that's not on this agenda item. If we were to call an election in March, we had talked about a special meeting the 2nd week in December, and staff is prepared to do that if we need to. However, at this point, we would like some sort of understanding that April is our preferred date.
Just out of curiosity, what was the reasoning by going on our own potentially April 2nd versus going with the county commissioner election?
The county will have 3 different questions on that, all involving tax extension as well. We just thought to give the staff the most time to prepare for it, also to have more discussion with this item, to get more information out for people to have a fuller understanding.
Yeah.
And it's a
Because it'll be about turnout.
It's a standalone election and true,
Yeah.
If history has shown us anything, it's that in 2014, when the city and the county went together, the city failed and the county passed. So
The county was a 58% approval, and when we did this in 2014, the city's portion fell by 57%.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's also, the more time you have to educate the public as to what they're really, what the vote is meaning, is a critical element. So
That's the most important thing.
Being able to communicate that and educate is, I mean, we've learned that time and time again with our school bond.
So we can't formally give our
you're
endorsement on that. We can't vote on this.
no vote, however, you can share your information, and if something needs to change between now and the next meeting, we have time to fix that. What we would recommend, like I said, at this point, if we would like to see a March date, we have to call the election by December 20th. Of course, the task force has supported an April date. We've visited in the community. We've gotten good feedback on that. In addition to that, one of the overwhelming comments we've heard is oversight of the CIP going forward. So we've heard good feedback about an extension. We've heard good feedback about the projects completed so far. However, in comparison to maps in Oklahoma City, one of the things the task force has said, the accountability in the oversight committee, they've been able to answer for those expenditures and how that's taken place. And so this task force being in place, to commend the council, has been a great thing in the community. The community has been very vocal about their support of this task force and would like to see it turn into an oversight committee in the future to support and, of course, for accountability measures. Regardless of who's sitting here, you're still getting the information you need.
Yeah, I agree with that. My position is to go support the task force opinion.
Yeah, I think the April 2nd date is much preferred. It's not combining, I guess, with the county. It gives us some more time to educate, and I think that's, out of the options, I think that's my preference.
I agree.
Yeah. Comments? Other comments?
Need one more person to say I agree.
I agree.
You're here. So there you go.
Okay, thank you so much, Chris, and to the members of the task force. Not an easy job at all, and it may not be finished, but really, really appreciate your efforts and being a conduit between administration, the council, and the community.
Please pass that on to all the members, too.
I will, and a big, again, I said it earlier, but a huge thank you to the staff, because everyone that's here has been helping out with all of our questions, because we threw a bunch at them. The second fire station was a huge conversation piece for not only public safety, but people's insurance rates in Ward 2, out by the lake. It gets closer for that ISO rating too, so that was a big part of our discussion as well. So not only infrastructure, but also needs for our citizens.
Okay, again, thank you.
Mayor and Council, real quick on that item as well, not to continue to give accolades to the task force, but also to the council. We've made a lot of headway really quickly, and so the presentation the CIP task force got was similar to what you saw at your retreat. So my opening line was, if you don't leave here with some anxiety, you weren't paying attention. So I stole that from Dr. Simpson. And I did credit him for that, but that's the reality of what we're dealing with here, and you guys know that, and so do they. So, thank
Have you had discussion about being an oversight part of this whole deal? Has that come
No,
up?
this was just kind of getting things moved pretty quick for you guys to understand
appreciate
what we're
that.
doing, but yeah.
Good job, guys.
Very good. Excellent. Item number 8, city manager report.
Yes, Mayor and Council, really quickly, I would like to say, at my last city manager report, the last city council meeting, I thank the Public Works Department and the Fire Department for their work on that Thursday afternoon, which Chief Lawson recognized a couple of his guys this evening. I mistakenly failed to mention that the dispatchers, the police officers, the volunteer fire departments that all around came out to help. I failed to mention their efforts as well. I want to take full responsibility for that and accountability for that. It was not malicious intent. Thank all employees They all play a huge role in our success as a community. You guys know that, but I wanted to share that from this position. So, moving along, the Christmas events are in full force. If you've been in town, Victorian Walk Saturday was nice. We had a great crowd in town. Folks, we've had lots of good feedback. We have been voted the Christmas capital of the country. So by HGTV and Oklahoma Magazine. I think that's huge, and we should be loud and proud about that. Coming up, you still have the Christmas Cruise, which is put on by A Very Merry Guthrie Christmas. The CIP survey is live Thursday through the end of the evening. We will also have the State of the City next Thursday, and then, of course, I sent you an invite to the holiday party on the 15th. So please let Kim know whether you're going to be attending either of those events. That is all I have for you.
Okay. Item number 9, comments from members of City Council. Councilman Case.
Just can't say, I can't tell you how proud I am of these guys. The task force has really come off with some really good ideas and some good information, and they've taken it seriously, and I think the citizens will follow suit. So, thanks.
Yeah.
Councilman Williams?
Well, I'm gonna steal Jeff's line. Good job, staff. Producing the brochures quickly, and I know Shonda had a lot to do with that too as well. She's not here, but got it out there quickly. It's easy to understand. The decision's not easy for some, but, and I thank the task force. It really means a great deal for the people that were there, have a lot of voices and a lot of connections that makes our job easier to make the decision. Thank you.
Councilman Guthrie.
I echo the same. Thank you, staff, and Eddie, you're doing a fantastic job. Task force, you give your own time. It's valuable, invaluable actually, to us on this thing. So that's it for me.
Councilman Rapp.
I appreciate all the task force that we have. I appreciate all the work that the commissioners are putting in. Chief, acknowledging people individually is always good, but I kind of feel like that's the stuff you guys are doing every day anyways, so thank you as always. And congratulations to the police, that's amazing. Gosh, I don't know what to say about that. We're all just really impressed, Chief, so congrats on that. Dan, thanks for the presentations and stuff that you've been doing lately. I will take Jeff's line as well and say thank you to staff in general. And thank you to the city for putting up the lights that they have done, and all the building owners too. That I haven't seen downtown look this fantastic in a long time. So it looks beautiful, and that's all I've got.
Okay, Councilman Taylor, you want to give your line?
No, I just say, guys, everything else you say, don't beat me to it. I'll be happy. That's it.
Well, the Church Hall Walk, Christmas Church Hall Walk, Victorian Walk was absolutely fantastic. A great crowd, as Eddie has mentioned. The buildings are looking much better with more lights on them, thanks to the building owners that have done that. And of course, the street poles and the wreaths that are on them and the lighting by the city added a lot. The same thing is happening this Saturday. So for those in the viewing public here, if you didn't have a chance to get down this past Saturday, got another shot at it, and it's well worth it. And of course, any night you can go to the Merry Christmas drive-through, and their fireworks is, when is that? The 17th? 16th. 16th. So that's their big event. They'll have fireworks along with the drive-through, so be there. And congratulations to the Territorial Governor, Connie Thomason, and the Junior Governor, Aubrey Timmons. So we got more royalty in the community. Isn't that great? Again, thanks for staff for all that they do. Eddie, appreciate your efforts. And last thing I have to say is Merry Christmas, early.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. We're adjourned.
Yeah, I can get it.